Welcome to the video series on guidance for the development of a local literacy plan. This video series will provide information on the key components included in a local literacy plan, as well as recommendations for the development of a high-quality plan aligned with the state's comprehensive literacy plan, Ohio's policies for literacy instruction, and best practices in implementing systems that support language and literacy development. This sixth video in the series will provide guidance on the development of Section 5 of a local literacy plan. Section 5 includes the measurable learner performance goals and adult implementation goals. First, we will explore the purpose and key components of Section 5. Then, we will apply this knowledge to support the development of measurable learner performance goals and adult implementation goals. Performance goals are essential for continuous improvement, setting benchmarks for success, and identifying areas for attention. Regularly reviewing and updating these goals using student data and feedback allows educators to adjust strategies, address new needs, and make incremental improvements, ensuring the literacy plan evolves to meet changing demands. Evaluating adult implementation data helps allocate resources and identify needs for targeted professional development to better address learners' needs. As part of Section 5, districts, schools, and early care and education programs should describe the measurable performance goals addressing learners' needs based on the analysis completed in Section 3 that the local literacy plan is designed to support progress toward. The plan may have an overarching goal as well as sub-goals. The local literacy plan guidance document on the department's website provides a definition of SMARTY goals. We will unpack some examples in this video as well. Measurable performance goals should be specific, measurable, ambitious, realistic, and time-bound. The goals should also be inclusive and equitable. The measurable performance goals must tie back to the analysis of data and factors contributing to underachievement in literacy. As you craft your goals, consider these guiding questions. What do you expect and want to see achieved from the supports provided? What kind of incremental progress would you expect to make over what period of time? Those who have completed a needs assessment or other improvement efforts that have targeted literacy may consider existing goals that meet this requirement. When generating SMARTY goals, begin by clarifying what you aim to achieve and for whom. The goal should be focused and leave no room for ambiguity. For instance, identify the target students, educators, or school community members who will benefit. Ensure the outcome is well defined. Describe it in concrete terms. For example, instead of improve literacy rates, specify. For example, increase the number of third grade students reading at grade level by 20%. Next, determine how you will measure progress and success. Specify the metrics, assessments, or data points to track growth. Reflect on whether these measures can effectively demonstrate change over time. Then determine if the goal is ambitious in its address of a critical need or priority. Assess whether the goal is challenging enough that achievement would mean significant progress, a stretch for the organization. Evaluate whether the goal is realistic and attainable given your current resources, constraints, and timeline. Assess whether your staff, students, and resources are prepared to meet the objective. Identify any additional supports or interventions required to ensure achievability. Ensure the goal is aligned with your school's mission, values, and strategic priorities. Ask whether the goal addresses a critical need in your community. Reflect on its potential to support the success of students and staff. Set a clear deadline to drive focus and accountability. Establish specific milestones to track progress at regular intervals. Ensure the timeline is realistic and accommodates steady progress. and prioritize equity and access in every step. Identify disparities that may affect goal achievement and outline steps to mitigate them. Consider diverse learning needs and explicitly plan for accommodations. And ensure resources and supports are distributed equitably. Here is an example of an overarching SMARTY goal and sub-goal. Notice the overarching goal includes proficiency increases for all learners, while the sub-goal specifically calls out needs in first grade. Let's take a look at an additional example of a SMARTY goal based on a fictional assessment, Read Well, and unpack how it meets the criteria. By the end of the 2027-2028 school year, the percentage of first grade students meeting or exceeding the Read Well Tracker's oral reading fluency benchmark will increase from 60% to 90%, with students below benchmark demonstrating at least a 20% increase in oral reading fluency scores across 3 years. Ongoing interventions and language supports will be aligned to meet the needs of students with reading difficulties and English learners. Now let's audit the goal. Is the goal specific? The goal focuses on increasing the percentage of first grade students meeting or exceeding the Read Well Tracker's oral reading fluency benchmark. It also specifies a goal for students who remain below benchmark. Is the goal measurable? The goal includes quantifiable outcomes, an increase from 60% to 90% of students meeting or exceeding the benchmark, and an average 20% increase in oral reading fluency scores for students below the benchmark. Is the goal ambitious? Moving from 60% to 90% of students meeting the benchmark is a 30% increase. Ambitious, but achievable with the right supports, interventions, and strategies in place. Is the goal realistic? The goal addresses a root cause problem related to phonics instruction in first grade. Is the goal time-bound? The goal has a clear deadline by the end of the 2027-2028 school year. Is the goal inclusive? The goal focuses on all first grade students. And finally, is the goal equitable? The goal specifies additional support will be given to English learners and students with specific reading challenges. It is important to not only set a goal, but to use backwards planning to ensure attainability. Consider the following examples of monitoring progress by identifying key milestones that will indicate if the goal is on track to be achieved. For example, by June 2026, the percentage of first grade students meeting or exceeding oral reading fluency benchmarks will increase from 60% to 70%, with students below benchmark achieving an average 10% increase in oral reading fluency scores. By June 2027, the percentage of students meeting or exceeding oral reading fluency benchmarks will rise to 80%, with students below benchmark achieving an average 15% increase in oral reading fluency scores. And by June 2028, 90% of first grade students will meet or exceed oral reading fluency benchmarks, with students below benchmark demonstrating an average 20% increase in oral reading fluency scores across the past 3 years. In the next video in our series, we will unpack Section 6 of the Local Literacy Plan. Before moving on to the next video, consider meeting with your team and beginning to work on Section 5.